Hey guys, I'm John Setzler. Welcome back to the Kamado Joe cooking channel. Since Christmas is rolling in, we're going to do kind of a holiday dish tonight, and we're going to fire up our Kamado Joe Classic, and we are going to do a beef Wellington on the Kamado. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is make our duxelles, which is going to start out in my food processor. I have 2 shallots that have been peeled and coarsely chopped, 4 cloves of garlic that have been peeled and coarsely chopped, and I have the leaves from 2 sprigs of thyme, and we're going to work 1.5 pounds of these white button mushrooms into this. I'm going to put some of these in here, and we're going to chop them down, and then I'm going to add the rest. Okay, I've got a saute pan here preheating over medium heat, and we are going to add 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 2 tablespoons of butter, and let that melt. And to that, we're going to add our mushrooms and spice or seasonings that we put in there, and we're going to saute this for 8 to 10 minutes until it's mostly dry. You'll see as this goes, it gets kind of wet as these mushrooms start to release that liquid. So we're going to keep sauteing this, like I said, until this is mostly dried, and it's going to reduce in volume a good bit as we go. As this is getting close to being ready, I'm going to add a couple of dashes of salt to season that a little bit, and we're going to put in a couple of turns of fresh cracked black pepper as well, and this only needs a couple of more minutes until it's going to be ready. Okay, we've been going here for right at about 10 minutes or so, and as you can see, this is thickened up. Most of the liquid has evaporated out of this, so I'm going to turn the heat off, and we're going to set this aside. I'm actually going to transfer this to another container, and we're just going to let that cool almost completely. Okay, I've got another pan out here over medium-high heat. I'm going to put in just a little bit of olive oil into this pan, and then we're going to get our Chateaubriand out, which is this beautiful piece of center cut beef tenderloin that I've trimmed down, and I've coated it with olive oil, salt, and pepper, and we're going to brown it all the way around. And now that we have that browned all the way around, we're just going to set it aside and turn the burner off. Okay, now on to the next step. I have taken my large cutting board here and spread out some plastic wrap, and I have laid down a layer of very thinly sliced prosciutto here, and on that I'm going to take a spatula, and we are going to spread our mushroom paste out all the way across this, and I'm going to spread it almost all the way out to the edges. Okay, and now I have taken our Chateaubriand and I've rubbed it with a thin layer of stone ground mustard. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my hands first, and then we're going to roll this up. We are going to use the plastic wrap to get this Chateau rolled up in that prosciutto and that paste that we made. Just like that. And then I'm going to take the ends, and we're just going to give that a twist, and then we're going to put this in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour while we get our grill ready. Okay, I have lit a fire in the firebox of the Kamado Joe Classic, and I've got the divide and conquer flexible cooking rack in place with the accessory rack in the top position. I have got both halves of my heat deflector up on the upper position, and I've got a couple of copper T spacers that I'm going to use because we're going to cook this on our pizza stone, but I'm going to elevate the pizza stone just a little bit from this to keep the stone itself from getting too hot. So we're going to let this grill come up to around 400 degrees in the dome, and I'm going to show you how we'll set the vents. To get the Classic up to about 400 in the dome, I'm going to close the bottom vent about halfway, and I'm going to close the daisy wheel slider almost all the way and leave the daisy wheel fully open. And if I need to cool the grill down, we'll close this further, close the daisy wheel, or if I need to warm it up, we'll open the slider. So like I said, we're going to stabilize here at a dome temperature of around 400 degrees. Okay, now I've taken my cutting board and floured it, and I have rolled out 2 sheets of puff pastry here, and I've overlapped them in the middle, and we are going to set our beef into the middle. I'm going to open this plastic, and we're just going to kind of roll this guy right out into the middle of this, and then we're going to fold the puff pastry up over the top, just like that, on both sides. And I've made a little egg wash with a couple of eggs and a tablespoon or 2 of water. We're going to brush that on and let that help seal the puff pastry right there. And then we're just going to kind of fold this in, and we're going to trim off the excess here at the end and fold that in. We're just going to pinch it up at the ends. Get that to hold together just like that. And if you're very creative, you can take your leftover puff pastry and cut some nice designs or something and lay on the top of that if you like. But then we're just going to brush the top. We're going to brush the whole thing with our egg wash. And now we're going to take this bad boy to the grill. Okay, I got one step ahead of myself there. We are going to cook this on the pizza stone, so I'm actually going to transfer this to the pizza stone, and we're going to roll it to the seam side down, and we're going to add the egg wash to this side as well. So we're going to cook that seam side down, and now we'll get this basted here and take it to the grill. Okay, we've got our Joe up to temp, about 400 degrees. So we're going to set our pizza stone right here on top of the heat deflectors. And we're going to let this guy cook until we get an internal temperature in that meat of about 125 to 128 degrees. So we'll be back in a bit to have a look. Okay, we've been going right at an hour, and this guy is ready to come off the grill. So I'm going to take it off, we're going to rest it for a few minutes, and then we're going to cut in. Okay guys, I've let this rest for about 10 minutes or so, and I've sliced it open right down the middle, and we have a beautiful, perfect medium rare cook on this. Everything looks good, so I'm going to slice off a piece of this and we're going to have a taste. It smells wonderful, so I'm looking forward to tasting it. Let's try it. Okay guys, the moment of truth. One of the odd things about this, or it's not really odd, one of the aromas that's coming off nicely here is that stone ground mustard that we rubbed on there. So let's have a taste of this. Wow. Guys, that is beautiful. Got a couple confessions to make. This is the first time I've ever cooked this on the grill, so you learned with me. And this is not entirely my recipe. This is an adapted recipe that I've made from a Tyler Florence recipe that I found online. This is really good. The prosciutto, the stone ground mustard, and the mushroom paste called the duxelles is really beautiful. The crust from the puff pastry is fantastic. The egg wash, everything came together beautifully on this. The beef Wellington is a beautiful holiday or Christmas type dish. So if you're looking for something different and want to really impress your friends and family this Christmas, give this a try. Let me know what you think. Join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Kamado Joe. Follow us on Twitter @Kamado Joe. And until next time, this is John Setzler with Kamado Joe Cooking Channel.